Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. Huyang City, city owner's mansion quiet room, inside the Star Tower. A vast and imposing body of Luo Feng sat cross-legged. Since his spiritual will surpass the limits of a godly king, the world life form had begun to grow again. Both the perfect divine body and the demonic clan avatar had growth limits. However, the world life form was unique. As long as Luo Feng's consciousness could control it, it could continue to enhance. Now, this world life form was still growing, never reaching the limit of what his spiritual will could endure. Finally figured out the 24 forms. Breakthrough. Luo Feng had been waiting for this day for too long. After the breakthrough of spiritual will, he was confident in killing the master of the Shi Kingdom. Yet, Luo Feng had been enduring. Because killing the three masters of the Shi Kingdom, once he revealed himself, he would not be confident in surviving an encirclement by some beings at the Emperor tier. For instance, the groups of Di Yang, Di Shi, and Di Wu, who had many treasures and combined were more fearsome than Emperor Ming. Previously, Luo Feng with only a spiritual will advantage truly wasn't confident in resisting those three. So, he patiently waited until this moment today. Condense. At this moment, Luo Feng's vast world life form stretched out its hand, changing the basic structure of the power of the world, transforming from the crude 10 directions world form into the 24 forms. In the 10 directions world form, each life unit needed just 10 particles to form a micro-world. In the 24 forms, each life unit required exactly 240 particles, forming a combination of 24 spaces perfectly, increasing stability by untold magnitudes. A complete qualitative change. Beautiful. After condensing a life unit in his palm, Luo Feng smiled and began increasing the proportions. Millions at once, billions. Luo Feng's vast soul, with a powerful spiritual will, made the transformation highly efficient. However, this time, Luo Feng's world life form's energy reserves were extremely vast. Luo Feng converted with all his might, but still used 32 days to successfully transform the entire true body of this world life form. Avatars, stationed in places like the Dream Domain, Heavenly Pillar Realm, Chu Capital, and Xiangjia City, also quietly transformed their bodies, which being smaller in energy reserves, converted much faster. Succeeded. Luo Feng stood up within this layer of the Star Tower. I feel like it's easier to control my physical body after the life form's transformation. Luo Feng could feel that his world life form in the 10 directions world form was loose and hard to handle. The world life form of the 24 forms had much tighter life units, and was easier to control. It was as if on Earth, a 200-pound obese person struggled to walk, while a 200-pound athlete, all muscle and lean-looking, had speed, strength, and explosive power. With the previous world life form, its energy reserves were about 29 times that of the perfect divine body. Using my spiritual will to control it felt a bit cumbersome, able to perform moves only at the threshold of the second realm of godly king. Now, the 24 forms, with the same energy reserves, is easy to control, and I can even effortlessly perform my strongest great extinction style. This body can still grow significantly. Luo Feng's body naturally formed a black robe, still in the shape of the 24 forms. Boom. With a slight release of his aura, Luo Feng caused the surrounding void to begin collapsing, layer by layer of space naturally falling in until only the membrane wall of the source world remained. The rules of heaven and earth around him naturally changed. Such powerful strength. I feel that my physical body is probably not inferior to my master now. Luo Feng had seen his master, Emperor Chu, and also Emperor Xian. In terms of artistic conception, my current world life form still falls a bit short of their ultimate realm perfection. But my world life form is too large. The advantage in quantity is enough to compensate for some quality disparities. Finally touched the Emperor tier status, Luo Feng reflected solemnly. Previously, my own body was too weak. One strike would crush me to dust. Even relying on the life recovery power would only resist a couple more strikes. The life lotus is also growing. Luo Feng observed his inner world. As the range of the inner world expanded thousands of folds, the life lotus naturally could continue growing, also enhancing the stability of the inner world and the life force of the body. My world life form has enhanced, and my inner world has expanded. To nurture the chaotic whole undying light, it can also be stronger. Luo Feng was quite satisfied. Whoosh! The black robe spread out, turning into an endless black river. The black river surged mightily, sweeping all around. Every drop of river water was a 24 forms unit, its binding force and imposingness much stronger. The world life form doesn't have a fixed shape. I can be humanoid, beast-shaped, or even a river, a star. Luo Feng was very clear on this point. Any shape constituted of basic life units was possible. With such strength, combined with the star tower in the land of origin, who can be my opponent? Luo Feng suddenly felt a bit elated. Calm down, calm down. One step at a time. Having just mastered the 24 forms world life form, Luo Feng, according to the special grade inheritance description, gradually familiarized himself with the capabilities of this body, also contemplating how to deploy his numerous combat methods. Thunder Ancient Country. After Luo Feng publicly reached the second realm of the Godly King, Mountain Sitting Guest also quietly broke through to the Godly King tier, but cultivating the primordial bloodline to become a Godly King did not cause any stir in the land of origin. Luo Feng has become a Godly King of the second realm. His strength should be much stronger than the Emperor of Tien Kuan. But to completely kill him and prevent him from reincarnating is still extremely difficult. Mountain Sitting Guest expressed his annoyance while sitting on his throne. From what I know, even if a monarch or an emperor takes action, the Emperor of Tien Kuan should still be able to withstand 1 or 2 strikes and manage to reincarnate. Among the 3 masters of the Shi Kingdom, Mountain Sitting Guest harbored the deepest hatred towards the Emperor of Tien Kuan. Without the Emperor of Tien Kuan, the other 2 masters of the Shi Kingdom also would not have destroyed his kingdom back then. Luo Feng only has one chance to act. Once we allow the Emperor of Tien Kuan to reincarnate, he will definitely hide his identity and not expose himself again. How long will it take for Luo Feng to grow to a level where the Emperor of Tien Kuan can't reincarnate? Although Mountain Sitting Guest was patient, he had been waiting for that day to come. He calmed Luo Feng and urged him not to rush. But within himself, he was constantly longing for that day, a fixation that had already penetrated deep into his soul. SSS, SSS, SSS. Mountain Sitting Guest closed his eyes and began to delve into cultivation again, exploring the primordial bloodline within his body. He could only temporarily forget the hatred through immersive cultivation. If he stopped cultivating, he would always think of the hatred, always remembering those haunting figures. Teacher. Suddenly, a voice came through causality. Mountain Sitting Guest was startled, stopped his cultivation, and responded with a smile, Luo Feng, what is it? Come to Huyang City. It is now time to act against the 3 masters of the Shi Kingdom. This transmission through causality felt like it struck Mountain Sitting Guest's soul. At this moment, his soul was trembling. Now it's time to act. As a godly king, it took Mountain Sitting Guest a full 3 breaths to completely regain his senses. But at this moment, he felt as though he had ingested the most precious treasure, his soul in an unprecedented state of excitement. His thought processes were soaring, and his spiritual will was unprecedentedly concentrated. I'm on my way. Mountain-sitting guest quietly responded and then immediately left the cave mansion, quietly rushing to Huyang City. Past meetings between master and disciple were generally in Xiangjie City, because it was close to the Thunder ancient country. But this time, mountain-sitting guest crossed half the land of origin, and quietly came to Huyang City. Mountain-sitting guest quietly entered the city owner's mansion, and at a glance saw Luo Feng sitting high up in a tower, and he immediately flew over. Buzz. Luo Feng's world power had long enveloped the surrounding billions of kilometers of Huyang City, and the city owner's mansion was even more shrouded by Luo Feng's spiritual will. No powerful being in the land of origin could hope to break through Luo Feng's world domain and spiritual will to spy here. This spiritual will. Mountain-sitting guest sensed the spiritual will surrounding Luo Feng, which even frightened him, vast as the sea, seemingly capable of annihilating him instantly. Teacher. Luo Feng, dressed in a black robe, smiled as he looked at him. This Luo Feng in black was in his 24 forms world life form true body. This action was of great significance for his teacher, mountain-sitting guest, and Luo Feng naturally went all out, eliminating all chances of accidents. Luo Feng. Mountain-sitting guest looked at his disciple. The intangible aura brought by his disciple felt not a bit less powerful than the monarch of the Thunder ancient country. Teacher, please sit, Luo Feng said. Mountain-sitting guest sat down, and then Luo Feng took his seat. You said in your transmission earlier that you could kill the 3 masters of the Shi Kingdom. Mountain-sitting guest looked at Luo Feng. We shouldn't be hasty with this matter. Once we make a move, we must be able to kill them completely. Once we allow them to reincarnate and escape, we won't be able to find them again. I am confident that they will not be able to reincarnate, Luo Feng said. Even the Emperor of Tian Kuan can't reincarnate. Mountain-sitting guest asked again. Yes, Luo Feng nodded. Mountain-sitting guest suppressed his excitement, carefully pondered various possibilities, and asked, how can you accomplish this? Is it a powerful secret treasure? With the 2 ancient countries' ability to probe the past and future, deduce celestial patterns, if they find out you made the move, would they act against you because of the secret treasure? That's why when I make the move, I will change my appearance and breath, blurring causality, Luo Feng said. Even if they investigate the past, they can only trace the identity I've disguised. As for deducing celestial patterns, even if my identity is exposed, I am prepared. Why wait for this day? It's to wait until I am stronger than the Mother River Master and the Wind City Empress, all 5 of them. They have been able to live well under the threat of the 2 ancient countries, so Luo Feng is confident. Are you prepared? Mountain-sitting guest looked at Luo Feng. Although I really want revenge, the dead are gone, the living are more important. You are my disciple, who I watched grow up. We still have enough time, we can wait. Even with his anxious heart, mountain-sitting guest could still endure. Teacher, I will not use any secret treasures for this move, Luo Feng said. No secret treasures, and you can still kill the 3 masters of Shi Kingdom. Mountain-sitting guest looked at his disciple. Luo Feng nodded. At this moment, mountain-sitting guest realized that his disciple's strength had become terrifying, far beyond a normal emperor or monarch. Okay. Mountain-sitting guest's eyes seemed to ignite, fully prepared. Then let's make the move. Teacher, the Shi Kingdom now has 5 godly kings. Luo Feng looked at the mountain-sitting guest. Do we only need to kill 3? The mountain-sitting guest nodded. Only those 3 earliest rulers who are blood enemies of mine, the Emperor of Tian Kuan, the Wuxiang ancestor, and the ancestor of Blade Demon, matter to me. Eliminating those 3 will suffice. Luo Feng nodded. The 3 earliest rulers of the Shi Kingdom were the closest of friends, with the Emperor of Tian Kuan still in the first realm of godly king. They ventured together in the land of origin, and all three were sinners of the highest order. On the other hand, the two who came later were much less sinful. The Kufeng God King was invited to join by the Emperor of Tian Kuan, because of his proficiency in the life origin and clone techniques, capable of dealing with many matters. He was a hard-working and uncomplaining character, who exchanged his services for some resources. The Liuyu God King, similar to the mountain-sitting guest, was once the ruler of a small edge country, the Liuyu country. As the Shi kingdom invaded its surroundings and approached the Liuyu country master didn't wait to be attacked and offered allegiance. It gave the Shi kingdom no reason for conflict. Among the 5 godly kings of the Shi kingdom, she was the least noticeable and held the lowest status, but at least she preserved her people. Do we need to have a talk with them before killing them? Luo Feng asked again. No need, the mountain-sitting guest shook his head. There's nothing to talk about. The more we talk, the more likely accidents will happen. I just want them completely dead. Luo Feng nodded and stood up. Then let's set out now. Make sure you are well prepared and try to keep both ancient countries from discovering your identity. The mountain-sitting guest stood up and reminded him. Don't worry. A black robe spread across Luo Feng's body. A golden mask appeared on his face, and his hair grew much longer. His aura became dark and profound, yet filled with great terror. He was mimicking the formless and intangible to resemble the memory of that vast eye from his dreams. Luo Feng studied that vast eye deeply and even created the Great Extinction style based on it. Although the mimicry fell far short of the dream memory, it still instinctively struck fear into the mountain-sitting guest beside him. It was like a lower-level creature encountering a higher-dimension being, feeling instinctive fear. With this appearance, there should be few who can guess my identity, Luo Feng smiled. Your aura is even more terrifying than in your true form, the mountain-sitting guest couldn't help saying. I've seen the monarch of the Thunder ancient country, who cultivates the primordial bloodline with a terrifying aura. But it seems they're nothing compared to you. Luo Feng smiled. His true form's aura was comparable to emperors and monarchs, and naturally even more terrifying when mimicking the vast eye. An existence like this, it's only right to easily and completely kill the 3 rulers of the Shi kingdom, Luo Feng said. Let's go. The mountain-sitting guest watched his disciple and nodded slightly. His emotions were tumultuous. On the one hand, he had waited too long for revenge. On the other, his disciple had now exceeded his expectations. After all, the earth was cultivated by humans after the mountain-sitting guest had reformed the environment. Luo Feng was like the child he raised, step by step cultivating to this day, guided by the Star Tower, the 9-volume manual, and the Lai Yuan technique. He watched Luo Feng grow, but now he was somewhat incomprehensible. This made the mountain-sitting guest feel a sense of fulfillment. Whoosh! The mountain-sitting guest's body had golden liquid flowing, and his aura strangely disappeared entirely. Under the flow of the golden liquid, the mountain-sitting guest reverted to his appearance from the primordial cosmos region. This is a golden armored puppet I refined. It barely has the strength of a godly king, the mountain-sitting guest said. My true body is hidden within the puppet. The visible puppet has no life aura whatsoever. Luo Feng nodded. Most formidable godly kings have ways to hide their aura, like when traveling to the dream domain, they conceal their identity. However, the hiding technique of his teacher, the mountain-sitting guest, was quite special. He walked with a puppet's body outside, while his true body was utterly concealed. Teacher's artifact refining skills are indeed formidable. Then let's set out now. Luo Feng immediately took the mountain-sitting guest and quietly left Huyang City, arriving at the royal capital of the Shi kingdom in a blink. Above the royal capital of the Shi kingdom, Luo Feng and the mountain-sitting guest looked down upon the vast city. Luo Feng was puzzled. What's wrong? The mountain-sitting guest asked, confused. The true body of the Emperor of Tien Kuan is not in the royal capital, Luo Feng said with a furrowed brow. Luo Feng came this time as a world life form in his true body, also carrying the secret treasure Star Tower. The world life form's inner world was solidified by the life lotus, making it tremendously powerful. It could reflect the outside world, even capturing vast external regions entirely into its inner world and imprisoning them. Using his inner world's outward sensibility, Luo Feng could confirm that the entire royal capital had no sufficiently powerful creatures, just a Kufan God King avatar. Furthermore, the Star Tower possessed the abilities to capture, suppress, and seal enemies. Luo Feng, utilizing the Star Tower to feel around, also did not detect any strong auras. For Luo Feng at this point, ordinary godly kings were no longer considered strong auras. I've already locked onto the Wuxiang ancestor and the ancestor of Blade Demon with my avatars, ready to strike at any moment, Luo Feng said, but the location of the Emperor of Tien Kuan is currently undetermined. What shall we do if he has entered some treasure land for cultivation, and might stay for a long time? The mountain-sitting guest asked. Luo Feng shook his head. I've always been subscribing to information about some of the most powerful beings in the land of origin, including regular updates on the Emperor of Tien Kuan. According to information from the Flame Wind Pavilion, since the last time the Emperor of Tien Kuan's true body was destroyed and he recovered it using a resurrection carrier, he has been nurturing the primordial bloodline. During the period of nurturing the primordial bloodline, he hasn't gone to any treasure land. The mountain-sitting guest nodded. As long as he doesn't go to the treasured land, he must eventually return, and we'll just wait for him in the royal capital, Luo Feng said. We have no other choice, the mountain-sitting guest nodded. Flame Wind Ancient Country, Yang Capital. Emperor Di Yang sat there, tasting the delicacies in front of him and exclaimed, Tien Kuan, when it comes to culinary artistry, only a few in the land of origin can match you. Your understanding of ingredients is unique, enabling you to bring out their naturally wonderful flavors. With the various top-notch ingredients prepared by the Emperor, I was able to make these dishes, the Emperor of Tien Kuan said with a hearty laugh, showing humility, and these ingredients have also enhanced my understanding of the primordial bloodline and benefited my cultivation. I should be the one thanking the Emperor for giving me this opportunity. Emperor Di Yang glanced at the Emperor of Tien Kuan. He was very fond of the Emperor of Tien Kuan, who was very obedient, always finding ways to please him. The most important thing was, the culinary creations of the Emperor of Tien Kuan very much suited Emperor Di Yang's palate. The Emperor of Tien Kuan followed the origin Tao of matter, studying the various materials in the world, even elevating the concept of deliciousness to an unimaginable level. After cultivating the primordial bloodline, he even tried to use the flesh and blood of primordial bloodline creatures as ingredients, making the dishes even more astounding. The royal family of Flame Wind Ancient Country enjoyed such luxurious pleasures. After all, the supreme delicacies of the land of origin were considered of the godly king tier in terms of culinary standards. This also enabled the Emperor of Tien Kuan to form good relationships with many godly kings of the royal family. You've been cooking for me for an era now. Tell me, what do you need my help with? Emperor Di Yang smiled at Tien Kuan. Tien Kuan had a good habit of serving Emperor Di Yang. He never actively set conditions. He always sincerely served until Emperor Di Yang himself would inquire, and that's when Tien Kuan would speak up. Your Majesty is also aware that there are some troublesome powers surrounding my Sha Kingdom, the Master of the Sha Kingdom said with a smile. The Yushui Country Master of Yu Kingdom, and the Luo He God King of Huyang City have formed an alliance. Now my Sha Kingdom can only target the neighboring second-rate nation, Cold Forest Country. The Cold Forest Country Lord is just an ordinary second-realm godly king, inferior to me. However, Cold Forest Country has a special relationship with Tianmu Kingdom. The Sha kingdom had taken over its surroundings as much as it could. What remained were only Yu kingdom and cold forest country. Yu kingdom seemed easy to bully, but who would have anticipated Luo Feng? Now that Luo Feng had become a second realm godly king, the Sha kingdom completely abandoned the thought, suspecting, not even with 10 of Luo Feng's clones combined would he be able to defeat him. Cold forest country. Emperor Di Yang nodded. All right then, you go back and prepare. Once everything is ready, I'll send Yanxiu God King with you. With Yanxiu God King's involvement, I believe Tianmu Kingdom will not dare to interfere. Emperor Di Yang, as the first emperor of Flame Wind Ancient Country, also had quite a number of powerful followers. Aside from Emperor Di Yang, there were 2 second realm godly kings in the royal family, namely Di Yanxiu and Di Yanxiu. Di Yanxiu, more ambitious, had used the ultimate realm level primordial bloodline in an attempt to break through to emperor, but fell short in strength, resulting in a semi-uncontrolled state. He was currently imprisoned in a small world and required a formation to maintain clarity. According to the rules of Flame Wind Ancient Country, unless absolutely clear-headed, one would not be released. If he were in Thunder Ancient Country, where a semi-uncontrolled individual, during their lucid phase, was willing to leave only to be confined again upon losing control. Di Yanxiu, with the supply of numerous resources, had become the strongest godly king under Emperor Di Yang. With Yanxiu God King stepping in, even Tianmu Kingdom with all its courage would hold back. The master of the Sha kingdom rejoiced. Emperor Di Yang nodded slightly. The master of the Sha kingdom left Flame Wind Ancient Country and returned to the Sha kingdom. It's good that Yanxiu God King can assist. The master of the Sha kingdom was very satisfied with his gains. He had served Emperor Di Yang for too long, and was very clear about Di Yang's temperament. He was currently nurturing his inner primordial bloodline, and if he were to request treasures for nurturing the bloodline, Emperor Di Yang would likely turn hostile. After all, Emperor Di Yang was also poor. Aside from Emperor Qing, the 12 emperors all owed massive debts to the imperial clan. They even tried to raise their debts to the limit permitted by the royal family, borrowing all sorts of treasures for their own use, which is why they each had powerful secret treasures. As for repaying their debts, they would pay back slowly. If I could devour cold forest country, I could consume 1/3 of its creatures. The remaining creatures can still slowly reproduce and provide a sustainable nourishment for my cultivation, the master of the Sha kingdom thought. 1/3 of the creatures of cold forest country would be enough to restore most of the strength of my primordial bloodline. Some portions of the primordial bloodline could be enhanced by consuming creatures. The countless creatures birthed within the source world, each one an aggregation of the essence of heaven and earth, provided great nourishment to the primordial bloodline. Phew! The master of the Sha kingdom leisurely returned to the royal capital. In an unremarkable cave mansion in the royal capital, Luo Feng and the mountain-sitting guests sat opposite each other, leisurely discussing artifact refining skills. Huh! Luo Feng's expression shifted. The mountain-sitting guest looked at Luo Feng. Master of the Sha kingdom has returned, Luo Feng said. The mountain-sitting guest's eyes brightened. Episode 110. Royal capital, deep within the palace. Sai. Emperor of Tian Kuan arrived and sat on the grand throne in the enormous hall. Yi Xiu, prepare a large portion of food. Emperor of Tian Kuan immediately issued an order through telepathy. Having served Di Yang for an era, he dared not be distracted by devouring countless creatures, and had long held back his hunger fiercely. Yes, my lord. Soon, Emperor of Tian Kuan's most loyal subordinate, Yi Xiu Great Saint, presented the prepared food in a transparent bottle, imprisoning billions of creatures. As a cultivator in the primal chaos realm, and due to his unwavering loyalty and meticulous work, the task of harvesting countless creatures regularly was handled by Yi Xiu Great Saint. He led a secret army specialized in capturing countless creatures. My lord, a large portion of food includes about 3,000 eternal true gods, 50 million true gods of void space, 50 trillion true gods, and 30 trillion lesser beings not yet at the true god level, all within this food bottle, Yi Xiu Great Saint respectfully reported. Emperor of Tien Kun looked at the over 80 billion creatures inside the transparent bottle, nodding with satisfaction. Even ruling the vast Sha kingdom, accumulating such a large portion of food was not easy. The tribes of the Sha kingdom lived in the wilderness, hiding in the most secluded places, and the eternal true gods were often the core backbone of many large cities. Capturing such a massive scale, even covertly throughout the entire range of the Sha kingdom, was no easy task. Very well. Emperor of Tien Kun looked at the transparent bottle, and felt the primordial bloodline within him boiling, craving for the countless lives. Yet the over 80 billion creatures inside the bottle had no idea that a terrifying existence outside was about to utterly devour them. Emperor of Tien Kun reached out and grabbed the bottle, suddenly. Emperor of Tien Kun felt everything before his eyes disappear. He lost all physical senses, only seeing a vast and enormous constellation forming. This massive constellation was spinning. He could see every process, but he had no way to dodge. It seemed slow, yet it was so fast it was merely a momentary flicker of the spirit. A flicker of the spirit, impossible to evade, too late to use the reincarnation secret technique. All he could do was take it head on. Survive and he lives. Fail and he dies. This rolling constellation was terrifyingly formidable, even more so than Di Yang whom he served. It was the most terrifying force Emperor of Tien Kun had seen in his long years. He hadn't even begun to defend, when he intuitively knew he couldn't block it. No. The constellation rolled, crushing over his spiritual will. His spiritual will was instantly crushed to dust, and under the sweeping roll of the constellation, not even a trace was left. In an instant, his spiritual will was completely annihilated. A dominant figure on the land of origin, the renowned Emperor of Tien Kun, was now just a corpse. He was dead. His death was so sudden, so utterly without the capability to resist. Inside this enormous hall, the Emperor of Tien Kun still sat there, reaching out to grab the transparent bottle. However, the fervor in his eyes had completely faded, leaving them utterly dull. Boom tilde tilde tilde, the moment he died, the Emperor of Tien Kun's body naturally began to reveal its true form. Sigh. An invisible wave swept over, collecting the bodies of the Emperor of Tien Kun, Yi Xiu Great Saint, and the transparent bottle. Under Luo Feng's terrifying spiritual will, even a slight involvement completely obliterated Yi Xiu Great Saint's spiritual consciousness. Firstly, allowing Yi Xiu to live and witness the death of the Emperor of Tien Kun might enable outsiders to deduce a lot of information. Secondly, as a minion of the Emperor of Tien Kun, who had long been capturing countless creatures, Luo Feng felt no mercy. Although the Emperor of Tien Kun was not as mad as the ancestral god of the Snow Realm, he ruled over a much broader Sha kingdom, and the number of creatures who died by his hand is probably far more than those who perished under the ancestral god. The 80 billion plus creatures in that transparent bottle made Luo Feng more aware of how much catastrophe Peking beings from the land of origin could cause once they turn malevolent. The stronger the power, even if only harvesting a small portion within their dominion, the numbers could be many times those of the ancestral god. My current strength already allows me to change parts of the land of origin. Of course, for now, I can only change a part. To completely change it, to establish my own rules, I need to be even stronger. Luo Feng knew this path was difficult, because under the limit of the supreme rules, the might of maneuvers had an upper limit in the ultimate realm. Even with his own formidable powers, he couldn't exceed this limit, meaning his impact on emperors and monarchs was limited. Emperors and monarchs decided the order of the entire land of origin. To alter the order of the land of origin, many of the emperors and monarchs from the two ancient countries might not tolerate it. Cultivators, with their own power, surpass heaven and earth. To change the fates of countless creatures in the land of origin is part of my cultivation. If I cannot even achieve this, how can I talk about surpassing heaven and earth? Seeing the 80 billion plus creatures in the transparent bottle, and witnessing the various darknesses, in his travels around the land of origin, Luo Feng's resolve was unbreakable. He was not strong enough yet, so he temporarily hid his claws. Once strong enough, he would reveal his claws and tear through this veil of darkness. Wuxiang City and Sword Demon City in Shi Kingdom were attacked simultaneously. To ensure the killing of the Emperor of Tianquan was foolproof, Luo Feng first concentrated all his efforts against the Emperor of Tianquan. After all, the other two Wuxiang ancestors, and ancestor of Blade Demon, were only at the first realm of Godly King, and even using the curse-killing technique, Luo Feng was confident he could annihilate them. The moment the Emperor of Tianquan died, Luo Feng's two other avatars acted simultaneously. Wuxiang ancestor and ancestor of Blade Demon had no time to react, instantly dying without resistance under Luo Feng's terrifying spiritual will. Collect. Luo Feng also took the bodies of these two godly kings. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In Huyang City, within the quiet room of the city owner's mansion, Star Tower. Luo Feng and Mountain Sitting Guest both came to one of the layers in Star Tower, where the true bodies of the three rulers from Shi Kingdom were laid out, all of their bodies intact, but their spiritual consciousnesses completely annihilated. They are dead, Mountain Sitting Guest observed the bodies carefully. The body of the Emperor of Tianquan was immensely vast, hundreds of millions of kilometers in length, with tough, thick scale armor. He cultivated the origin Tao of matter, tapping into the potential of the primordial bloodline, making his body far tougher and more terrifying than Luo Feng's early 10 Directions World Form World Life body, normally giving him enough time to use the reincarnation secret technique even if emperors and monarchs attacked. But this time, he couldn't reincarnate. No matter how strong his physical body was, it couldn't help him against a technique aimed wholly at the spiritual will. Only reaching the ultimate realm life form and achieving perfection could he resist some attacks on spiritual will. As for the God King grade secret treasure, the Emperor of Tianquan had no power to obtain it. In the land of origin, there were not many such secret treasures, and lacking the power to possess such treasures, one would only invite disaster. With strength like that of Emperor Gui Shu, owning such treasures in his previous life had brought great calamity. He had not reached the ultimate realm life form, had not resisted the God King grade secret treasure of spiritual will, he was utterly no match for Luo Feng. Will beyond God King level, and then activate the Lai Yuan technique again. None of them managed to reincarnate. Mountain Sitting Guest couldn't help but ask, Tianquan, not in time either. I'm sure. Luo Feng nodded. The moment I used the secret technique of willpower, he died. He simply had no time to reincarnate. Secret technique of willpower. Mountain Sitting Guest nodded slightly. Luo Feng had not concealed it from him. The willpower displayed was indeed vast and mighty, and felt as though it could crush the godly kings with the slightest pressure. Indeed, indeed. Mountain Sitting Guest, touching the scale armor of the massive corpse of the Emperor of Tianquan, then looked toward the corpses of the Wuxiang ancestor, and the ancestor of Blade Demon beside. At this moment, Mountain Sitting Guest seemed to see those familiar figures. Ah Jin. Sister. The once young boy, seeing the dazzling genius sister in his sect for the first time, was nervous and tense. Ah Jin, Master has ordered, from now on, you will follow me. I will teach you on behalf of Master. Okay. Ah Jin, you've reached primal chaos realm. Even faster than me. Sister, would you like to walk the path of cultivation with me? The youth, now a primal chaos realm, voiced the desire he had harbored for long. Sister smiled happily, nodding through tears. From now on, we walk the cultivation path together. Jin state was established. Although it was a third-rate frontier small state, it was still an unprecedented achievement for the entire sect. God King Jin, with his artifact refining skills, also became famed all around. Our Jin has become the monarch, Sister said proudly. You have already surpassed all the predecessors of the sect. God King Jin smiled slightly. He needed to become even stronger, walk further in the path of cultivation with Sister, and lead the younger brothers and sisters and the sect further. Mountain sitting guest faintly saw those familiar figures, his brothers and sisters who admired him immensely, the love of his lifetime. It was the world that haunted his dreams. I've taken revenge, I've avenged you all, Mountain sitting guest whispered softly. Fled into the universe ocean. With endless hatred and reluctance, he entered the depths of the universe ocean. Forced to reincarnate within the primordial cosmos. The long years. Until today. Mountain sitting guest, looking at the three massive corpses before him, suddenly felt a bit dazed. The goal he had always pursued was completed, yet he didn't know how to proceed. How I wish I could return to the past, Mountain sitting guest said in the moment of successful revenge, not feeling the satisfaction of avenging a great wrong, but an endless nostalgia instead. Luo Feng silently watched from the side. He felt the surge and changes of emotions in his master, even his master's powerful spiritual will needed time to adapt. Finally, Mountain sitting guest calmed completely. He turned his head to look at Luo Feng. Luo Feng, thank you, Mountain sitting guest smiled faintly. At this moment, I am without regrets. Teacher, you have helped me immensely, it is I who should say thank you, Luo Feng said. Mountain sitting guest pointed to the three massive corpses, forget about the other two, but the Emperor of Tian Kuan had a renowned reputation, his sudden death will definitely attract the attention and investigation of major powers. These three corpses must be destroyed utterly, otherwise they could reveal much information from being examined. I know, Luo Feng nodded, these three corpses will not appear from Star Tower again. Killing felt satisfying, but there will be a lot of investigation afterward. Especially since the Emperor of Tian Kuan and several emperors of the Flame Wind ancient country have very good relations, you must be careful, Mountain sitting guest advised. I'm all prepared, Luo Feng nodded. You now far surpass my strength, and your considerations are definitely more meticulous than mine, Mountain sitting guest smiled and nodded, well, I should leave now. Teacher, are you going back? Back to Thunder ancient country? Luo Feng asked. From now on, I will focus on studying artifact refining and primordial bloodline, living my own peaceful days. Mountain sitting guest looked at Luo Feng. If you ever need anything, just let me know. Okay, Luo Feng nodded, I'll see you out. Luo Feng personally escorted Mountain sitting guest out of Star Tower, even to the border of Thunder ancient country, then watched as Mountain sitting guest left. Teacher. Luo Feng sensed Mountain sitting guest's change. The past Mountain sitting guest always harbored a strong spiritual obsession, but today, that obsession was gone, he had completely let go. This grand causality had entangled the teacher for countless years. This major causality had also shaped himself. Teacher, I hope you enjoy your days ahead, Luo Feng silently said. He also decided, unless necessary, not to disturb the teacher's peaceful days anymore. Huyang City, city owner's mansion, atop the tower. Luo Feng sat alone, drinking wine. 3 kings of Shi Kingdom suddenly died, especially the Emperor of Tian Kuan, a powerhouse at that level suddenly dying. The 2 ancient countries will definitely investigate carefully. Now, let's see what they are capable of. The outcome of the investigation by the 2 ancient countries would also determine his own course of action. What? They all died. Out of the 5 god kings in Sha Kingdom, only Liu God King and Kufeng God King, who were alive, could confirm through causality that the 3 more powerful kings of Sha Kingdom were all dead. This baffled them. 3 died instantly, while the 2 weaker god kings were still alive. No matter whether the Emperor of Tian Kuan has reincarnated or not, to be able to kill him silently, it must be at the level of an emperor, or a monarch, right? Liu God King was alarmed. With the strength of the Emperor of Tian Kuan's primordial bloodline, even if an emperor like Emperor Gui Shu took action, it would probably cause a tremendous disturbance, splitting heaven and earth, and the Emperor of Tian Kuan would be able to resist for quite some time. Like the previous time, when the Emperor of Tian Kuan and his companions teamed up against the Yu Shui country master, it took a long time and still yielded no result. As one can imagine, to kill an existence at the level of the Emperor of Tian Kuan, or even force him to reincarnate, was an exceedingly difficult feat. What should I do? Liu God King felt uneasy. She had only one true body, having originally led her entire nation to take refuge in Sha Kingdom, where her race also prospered and thrived within the boundaries of Sha Kingdom. Investigating the deaths of the 3 kings might lead back to me. Kufeng God King acted swiftly. Those who can move, move quickly. Kufeng God King, with many avatars, naturally had multiple strongholds. He controlled several cities within the Tianji icefield alone. When invited to join Sha Kingdom, he only brought part of his race. Now, he quickly began moving them. At this moment, they were all somewhat panicked. They felt that behind the deaths of the 3 kings of Sha Kingdom lay a hidden crisis, and once it affected them, they would have no power to resist. Eta King's capital. A figure of white light appeared in the Eta King's capital, his entire body composed of white light, gazing down expressionlessly at the city, and at this moment, the entire city had turned grey, with all creatures motionless. The entire world seemed to have paused. The white light figure walked through the paused Eta King's capital, entering the palace, then the grand hall. The Emperor of Tian Kuan was sitting there. Yi Xiu Great Saint was respectfully presenting a food bottle. The white light figure watched the scene, with a flicker of thought, and behind him, a massive flow of sand began to move slowly, and everything around him started to come alive. The Emperor of Tian Kuan reached for the food bottle, when suddenly, the eyes of the Emperor of Tian Kuan and Yi Xiu Great Saint dimmed. Instant annihilation, no chance to resist. The Emperor of Tian Kuan probably didn't have time to reincarnate, observed the white light figure. Is it a secret technique of willpower? Or an attack targeting the soul? The supreme rules of the land of origin restrict all power limits. Whether it's energy type, material type, causality type, willpower type, there are limits to power. Within the limits of power, to achieve this step, there are no more than 10 in the entire land of origin, pondered the white light figure. This Emperor of Tian Kuan has always been very cautious. Although he is domineering towards surrounding countries, he never dares to offend truly powerful beings. Who killed him? And also, simultaneously killed 3 kings of Sha Kingdom. Could it be related to a vendetta against all 3 kings? Pondered the white light figure. Time continued to pass. The bodies of the Emperor of Tian Kuan and Yi Xiu Great Saint, including numerous creatures in the food bottle, all disappeared. He performed techniques of either soul type or willpower type. He must be close by. The white light figure flew above the entire royal capital and began to carefully examine all creatures within the vicinity during this period. The white light figure's eyes lit up. He fully activated an ancestor's bestowed treasure, and the vast sandy shadow behind him rapidly expanded and spread, covering the entirety of the royal capital almost instantly. Buzz. 2 previously elusive figures became visible under the shadow of the sand. A man in a black robe with long hair, wearing a golden mask, stood above the royal capital, coldly looking toward the palace direction. Beside him was an old man with no signs of life, clearly discernible as a puppet. The white light figure was startled and closely observed the black-robed man with the golden mask. Even from observing traces from the past, the white light figure felt the deep and unfathomable aura of the black-robed man, and it exuded a strange, immense fear, giving him a fright. Such an appearance, such aura, never seen before, the white light figure was secretly alarmed. Land of origin, how did such a terrifying existence emerge? As one of the 9 monarchs of the Thunder ancient country, the Skylight monarch, there were very few strong people he did not know about. Previously, there was only that mysterious strong man from the Shadow Sky realm, possessing Emperor-level combat power, whose identity no one knew. And now there was another. He took that bottle, and there are countless creatures inside the bottle, which can be traced through their causality. Perhaps there will be discoveries. The white light figure tried to trace his steps. He looked at the food bottle, saw some creatures in it and thus naturally produced causality. Small cultivators couldn't hide causality, and by utilizing causality tracing, discoveries were to be made. All these weak cultivators have been released into the wild, regaining their freedom. The white light figure was somewhat surprised. It seems this mysterious strong man is quite compassionate towards the weak. The white light figure shook his head slightly. Having traced this far, it was hard to investigate further. This mysterious strong person also carries a puppet servant, observed the white light figure, as he also examined the old man next to the black-robed man with the golden mask. The elder transformed into a puppet, showing no traces to investigate. Bringing out a servant to handle matters, how odd. The white luminescent figure smiled and then quickly departed. Across the entire land of origin, the 2 ancient countries jointly established order. Anything that might threaten this order, they meticulously investigated. Currently, their focus was on the hidden 3 alien race powerhouses, as well as 5 formidable figures, including the Wind City Empress and the Mother River Master. Today, they discovered that another mysterious powerhouse demanded their attention. Emperor Di. I went to the past timeline, and the culprit should be this man in a black robe and golden mask, Di Jufeng reported, revealing the scene he had investigated. Emperor Di watched closely. He also has a puppet servant, Di Jufeng continued. It's certain he's not in the ultimate realm, nor does he possess any time-space related secret treasures, hence my ability to detect him. However, his strength must be terrifying. Quite extraordinary. Emperor Di observed the black-robed, golden-masked figure, feeling an immense dread that would even alarm emperors and monarchs. Who knows where this powerful being came from? Di Jufeng shook his head. He feels more terrifying than the 5 Earth God Kings. Emperor Di nodded. There are a decent number of beings at the peak of 2nd level of God King realm in the land of origin. They just lack resources. It might be one of them who crossed that threshold due to gaining some resources. Judging by how he killed the Emperor of Tianquan, he likely specializes in soul-based or willpower-based techniques, Di Jufeng explained. In other words, below emperors and monarchs, he could likely kill instantly. He's much more terrifying than the 5 Earth God Kings. Indeed, nodded Emperor Di, he conceals his identity, and does not seem to want to openly confront the 2 ancient countries yet. Emperor Di, can you divine his identity through fate? Di Jufeng asked. I can't. Emperor Di shook his head. Calculating fate also requires sufficient information. This mysterious figure has given us too little to work with. Di Jufeng gave a slight nod. Even my flame wind ancient country tried everything, yet couldn't kill the Mother River Master. This mysterious powerhouse seems even more difficult to handle. Even the 2 ancient countries might not be able to deal with him. Emperor Di chuckled. Not being able to find out his identity might even be a good thing. Not being able to flee like the Mother River Master doesn't mean this particular person can too, Di Jufeng remarked. Emperor Di said no more. Di Jiufeng also then departed. Who are you? Emperor Di, curious, looked at the mysterious figure clad in a black robe and golden mask. Are you Pu Yuxin? Luo He? Or perhaps Emperor Ming? There indeed aren't many from the land of origin who could reach this level in terms of soul or willpower techniques. Yet, based on many aspects, Emperor Di truly had three suspects. Pu Yuxin, a mysterious and low-profile god-king in the second realm, rarely involved in conflicts, occasionally accepting disciples in the illusory realm. Among his disciples are two other god-kings of the second realm, including the Wuxin god-king. Luo He, at the stage of primal chaos realm, was already in the ultimate realm of god-king in terms of willpower, and Emperor Di has been observing Luo He. Emperor Ming, as the highest achiever in willpower in the land of origin, his willpower strength had long reached the upper limit set by the supreme rules. Moreover, he had also received the legacy left by Yuan, and has been obsessively studying catastrophe beasts, as well as other images of primordial life. Emulating some of the dread associated with primordial life was easy for him. Who could it be? Pu Yuxin, have you been biding your time until now to make a move? Emperor Di was curious, or the terrifyingly potential Luo He? Or perhaps the unimaginably dreadful Emperor Ming? Nothing Emperor Ming does would surprise Emperor Di. Even if Emperor Ming completely killed 7 or 8 emperors, causing a massacre throughout the land of origin, Emperor Di would find it normal. Because this fits Emperor Ming very well. Emperor Ming and catastrophe beasts are quite alike. Once he shows his true colors, he doesn't hesitate to kill all his comrades. In Huyang City, at the city owner's mansion, Luo Feng regularly ordered detailed intelligence on the Emperor of Tiankuan from the Flame Wind Pavilion, and he had just received a report, albeit a rather costly one. Flame Wind Pavilion, did they find out who killed the Emperor of Tiankuan? Luo Feng scrutinized the information. The report contained a segment of footage. A man in a black robe and golden mask with long hair, along with an old puppet man. An unknown mysterious powerhouse. With a puppet. Luo Feng laughed. The changes that are formless and intangible are indeed hard to decipher within the range of the supreme rules. The detailed cause of the Emperor of Tiankuan's death, requiring an additional payment of 1 billion cosmic sand. Luo Feng did not make the purchase. He was quite aware that since they could capture his image, they must know the body of the Emperor of Tiankuan was intact. It could be deduced that the attack targeted the soul or the mind. Luo He. The Yushui country master communicated, "You know about the Emperor of Tiankuan's death, don't you?" "Of course, I know," Luo Feng responded. Flame Wind Pavilion and Thunderclap Commerce are publicly selling the intelligence, saying it was a soul-based or will-based attack that killed the Emperor of Tiankuan, and it looks like the Emperor of Tiankuan couldn't even reincarnate. The Yushui country master excitedly communicated, "This mysterious powerhouse, below emperors and monarchs, could probably kill instantly." "Brother Yushui, you seem rather pleased with the disaster," Luo Feng remarked. The ancestors of both countries, the ancestor of the East Extreme Domain, Emperor Qing, Lord of 10,000 Realms, Sector Beast, Emperor Ming, there are quite a few in the land of origin, who could instantly kill us. One more doesn't make much difference, the Yushui country master laughed. "I'm happy, because the Emperor of Tiankuan is truly dead, probably couldn't even reincarnate, and it's really exhilarating. Since Shi Kingdom and Yu Kingdom are neighbors, the Emperor of Tiankuan and the Yushui country master had fought for too long. Luo He, your controlled territory is near Shi Kingdom, and now that Shi Kingdom is leaderless, you could completely seize the entire Shi Kingdom," the Yushui country master transmitted. "I'll definitely support you fully. Thank you for watching.